Hi, I'm Lynn Bridgeford from 8th BIOS, and today in our series on mental health and coaching we're going to talk about boundaries, so particularly healthy boundaries. A boundary is a dividing line. It fixes a limit or an extent. In relationships, it's about how emotionally close you allow someone to come to you and where you draw the line. So we have all kinds of relationships that need healthy boundaries, from friendships to work relationships, colleagues, bosses, and particularly in romantic relationships where we're investing and spending so much time and emotional energy with someone. And in the beginning, when it's all exciting, it's easy to want to please someone and the boundaries get a little blurred. The best way to start, even when it's exciting, is to start with good boundaries. Good boundaries help us to maintain a sense of personal identity and personal space. So examples of healthy boundaries can be asking permission, showing respect for somebody else's space and their opinions, and to sit with the other person's way of communicating emotion, even if it's different to our own. Other healthy boundaries can be around honesty, gratitude, taking the other person's feelings into account, and taking responsibility for our own actions. We're all a little different when it comes to our boundaries and our personal level of space we need, personal level of freedom to be ourselves, the respect. It's a different thing, which is why in relationship it's important to communicate what is okay in respecting somebody's boundaries of how much space they need and not being with them all the time, and also respecting their needs, your needs, both ways. Then it's healthy. We all have our own patterns of behaviour around boundaries and our needs, and it's important to be honest and clear about these in relationships, and particularly in romantic relationships, so that we don't start to feel too crowded and too obligated to be with someone when actually we need to have a night off or a couple of nights off to just be by ourselves, feel our own feelings, do our own thing, meet our own friends. It's lovely to meet with a group of friends, and it's always different meeting one-on-one. And some people need that more than another, depending on the level of connection they have with that person or need with that person. So when you perhaps need more space than the other person, or they need more space than you, that needs to have a conversation and understanding, so that it's not a rejection, it's just a need. And actually when we have what we need, we're going to communicate and relate better to our partners and our work colleagues, rather than when we're operating out of a need of the other person that we think we have to fulfill. We're all best at being ourselves, and we can be our best selves when we meet our own needs, and that is by setting clear boundaries, kindly, honestly, with love and compassion. Texting can be another area. It can be quite exciting to have a lot of texts, particularly in the beginning, and then if one person is busy and the other person doesn't answer straight away, that can be misread as a rejection, whereas the person may just be busy. So it's important to communicate about when you're available, when you're not available. It could depend on your lifestyle, on your job, on your family, and so that it's very clear that if you don't answer someone, it's not a rejection, it's just because you're perhaps busy and you will get to it. It always feels better to be free to contact people and want to contact them, rather than being obliged because it's a certain time or a certain situation. We all have responsibilities towards each other, and these responsibilities can also be boundaries. What are we responsible for, even in a household? Who is responsible for washing the dishes and when? And if you live by yourself and you want to leave a mess, it doesn't bother anybody else. Some people like to be tidy even though they do live alone. When you live with somebody else, they may have different needs for tidiness, for clarity around the place, to be able to come into the kitchen and it's nice. So that is a negotiation about a boundary of when things happen, so that we can gel nicely together, whether you're living in a house with people or whether it's a relationship or a family. Money and sex and relationship agreements are other areas where we need to have good, clear boundaries, so that we're not anticipating that the other person has the same boundary or idea as we do. It's not about a right or wrong, it's just about finding how can we meet our fellow humans and get our needs met both ways, and then everybody's happier. So examples of emotional boundaries are saying no, refusing to take the blame when it's not our fault, expecting respect, dictating our own feelings, finding our identity outside of a relationship, accepting help, asking for space, communicating discomfort, sharing mutually, sticking up for yourself, choosing to be vulnerable. Examples of personal boundaries: your right to privacy, your ability to change your mind, your right to your own time, the need to handle negative energy, the freedom to express sexual boundaries, and the freedom to express spiritual boundaries, the right to remain true to your principles, the ability to communicate physical needs, your right to your material possessions, your ability to set your own time. The key in good boundaries and good relationships is in being honest and clear with ourselves and communicating honestly, clearly, kindly, considerately with our partners and our colleagues. Enjoy setting healthy boundaries and watch how your life improves and how much truer you feel to yourself. Thank you so much.